Modern motorcycles are engineered to fail, and you are about to find out why. But 15 bikes from the 80s are different. Built during a brutal horsepower war when manufacturers used solid metal instead of plastic, with over-engineered engines designed to outlast their owners. Join us today as we expose the legendary bikes mechanics hoard in their garages and the lost engineering secrets modern brands abandoned for profit margins. Stop buying disposable garbage. Number 15. The BMW K100. The Flying Brick. We begin our countdown with a German machine that looks like it was designed by a heavy industry locomotive company. In the early 80s, BMW was terrified that strict new environmental emissions regulations would completely kill off their signature air-cooled boxer twin engines. In response, they designed a radically new liquid-cooled engine heavily inspired by Peugeot automobile engines. The result was the K100, affectionately and accurately nicknamed the Flying Brick. The fuel injection system is a rudimentary, bulletproof Bosch LE Jetronic system borrowed directly from automotive applications. When you compare this mechanical design philosophy to modern bikes, the contrast is staggering. Modern BMW motorcycles are plagued by failing electronic suspension components, leaking water pumps, and incredibly fragile final drive bearings. The Flying Brick rarely breaks because it only produces 90 horsepower from a massive 1-liter block, meaning the internal components are never stressed, whereas modern superbikes extract 200 horsepower from the exact same displacement, virtually guaranteeing a short, violent lifespan. Originally retailing for roughly $6,000, you can easily find the BMW K100 Flying Brick on the used market for between $2,500 and $4,500. The Flying Brick is an unstoppable German juggernaut. But what if you demand the raw exhilaration of a V4 engine? Our next machine was built to apologize for a corporate failure, and it features an internal timing mechanism that sounds like a supercharger and absolutely refuses to die. Number 14. The Honda VFR750F Interceptor. Honda has always been an engineering powerhouse, but in the early 80s they suffered a massive public relations disaster. Their early V4 engines suffered from soft camshafts that self-destructed prematurely. Honda was absolutely humiliated. To permanently repair their global reputation, they engineered the 1986 VFR 750F Interceptor. The heart of this motorcycle is its 748cc liquid-cooled V4 engine. The defining feature that makes this machine immortal is its gear-driven overhead camshafts. Instead of using a rubber timing belt or a metal timing chain that will inevitably stretch, slap, and snap over time. Riders regularly accumulate 150,000 miles on these engines, often reporting that the frame and bodywork rot away long before the engine ever loses compression. Modern manufacturers opt for cheap, lightweight timing chains guided by fragile plastic rails that shatter and destroy the engine to save a few pennies on the assembly line. Honda proved that when price is not an object, mechanical perfection is entirely possible. While the original sticker price of the Honda VFR 750F Interceptor sat at $5,300, expect to pay anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 today. The VFR is a masterpiece of complex street engineering, but what if society collapses tomorrow? You do not want complex gears. You want a pure, unadulterated tractor. Our next motorcycle is a survivalist icon that can be rebuilt on the side of a dirt road with a rock and a screwdriver. Number 13. The Kawasaki KLR650. If you asked a group of hardcore survivalists what motorcycle they would choose to ride across a post-apocalyptic wasteland, the unanimous answer would be the Kawasaki KLR650. Introduced in 1987, this motorcycle is the absolute definition of a utilitarian tractor. It is entirely devoid of luxury, comfort, or speed, but it trades all of those attributes for pure, unadulterated survival capability. The engine construction is brutally simple. It relies on a 650cc liquid-cooled single-cylinder engine. The reason this engine is so incredibly overbuilt is its remarkably low compression ratio and massive internal tolerances. It does not spin fast, it does not generate massive heat, and it produces a thoroughly underwhelming 37 horsepower. However, that lack of power means the massive single piston and heavy connecting rod are barely breaking a sweat even when fully loaded with heavy camping gear. The only known mechanical flaw is the factory balancer chain, tensioner spring, colloquially known as the doohickey, which is easily upgraded with an aftermarket forged steel component. Modern adventure bikes feature complex traction control software, electronically adjustable windshields, and ride-by-wire throttles that fail when exposed to fine desert dust. The KLR relies on a heavy steel frame, a gravity-fed carburetor, and sheer mass to bludgeon the terrain into submission. The Kawasaki KLR650 demanded roughly $3,000 brand new, but current secondary market values range heavily between $2,000 and $4,000. The KLR is the undisputed king of the dirt, but what if you need to cross an entire continent on smooth asphalt at high speeds? Our next entry relies on brute force and massive cooling fins to achieve mileage numbers that would make a modern car engine weep in absolute despair. Number 12. The Yamaha FJ1200. When Yamaha set out to build the ultimate high-speed sport touring motorcycle in the mid-80s, they did not rely on complex radiators, fragile water pumps, or sophisticated cooling jackets. They relied on rushing wind, massive cooling fins, and brute force. The Yamaha FJ1200 is a rolling testament to the absolute durability of oversized air-cooled engineering. The engine sits in a heavy-duty steel perimeter frame designed to carry a passenger and full luggage without flexing. The durability reputation of the FJ series is staggering. Motorcycle couriers in London favor these bikes extensively, routinely pushing them past 300,000 miles because the engines simply refuse to lose compression. The mechanical design philosophy perfectly illustrates why simplicity breeds longevity. By intentionally rejecting liquid cooling, Yamaha eliminated the water pump, the thermostat, the radiator hoses, and the coolant seals, all of which are primary failure points on modern touring motorcycles. If air is moving over the engine, it cools down. It is a foolproof physical constant. Back in the late 80s, the Yamaha FJ1200 carried an MSRP of roughly $6,000, whereas used examples now effortlessly command $2,000 to $3,500. Air cooling works brilliantly for heavy touring, but what if you want to dominate the racetrack without the fragility of liquid radiators? Our next machine invented an entirely new way to cool an engine, spraying massive amounts of oil directly onto the pistons to create an indestructible racing legend. Number 11. The Suzuki GSXR750. In 1985, Suzuki completely shocked the motorcycling world by releasing the original GSXR750. While competing manufacturers were building heavy, water-cooled sport bikes, Suzuki took a radically different approach to achieve high horsepower, extreme durability, and lightweight performance. They invented the Suzuki Advanced Cooling System, strictly known as SACS, and inadvertently created one of the most indestructible motorcycle engines in history. They designed a massive, high-capacity double-chamber oil pump that blasted high-pressure oil directly at the undersides of the pistons to pull the intense heat away. Because the engine block did not need hollow water jackets surrounding the cylinders, the aluminum block itself was cast incredibly thick and solid. This made the engine inherently rigid and virtually impervious to catastrophic failure. High-mileage examples of the oil-cooled GSXR are everywhere in the stunt riding and drag racing communities. These engines are routinely starved of oil during wheelies, bounced off the rev limiter, and yet they hold together for decades. Maintenance is surprisingly simple for a true race replica motorcycle. The absence of a radiator system means you never have to worry about boiling over in traffic or leaking coolant onto the rear tire. You simply pour massive amounts of high-quality oil into the crankcase, and the engine takes care of the rest. Suzuki originally asked $4,500 for the legendary GSXR750, yet collectors will comfortably pay $6,000 to $12,000 for a pristine Survivor right now. If you deeply respect the lost art of true overbuilt mechanical engineering, click that like button right now to prove to the algorithm that real metal beats cheap plastic computers every single time. Number 10. The Honda Goldwing GL1200. The Honda Goldwing is the undisputed king of luxury motorcycle touring, But the iteration released in 1984, the GL1200, represents a specific peak in overbuilt, analog durability. The engineering marvel of the GL1200 is its 1,182 cc liquid-cooled flat-4 engine. By laying the 4 cylinders flat against the ground, opposing each other, Honda perfectly canceled out internal primary vibrations. It operates at a very low, car-like RPM range. The internal bearing wear is virtually non-existent. The longevity of these flat-4 engines is almost mythological. It is commonly referred to in touring circles as the million-mile bike. Odometers showing 250,000 miles are considered to be just breaking into their midlife. The mechanical design philosophy was purely focused on long-distance reliability. The final drive utilizes a fully enclosed, heavy-duty shaft drive system that completely eliminates the dirty, dangerous chore of lubricating a drive chain on the side of a rainy highway. The 4 carburetors sit proudly on top of the engine block for remarkably easy access. Modern luxury touring bikes like the brand new Goldwing or the BMW K100 are magnificent machines, but they are incredibly complex, luxury cars balancing on 2 wheels. The GL1200 remains a pure mechanical locomotive, completely devoid of the fragile electronic modules that paralyze modern touring bikes in remote locations. Brand new pricing for the Honda Goldwing GL1200 historically hovered around $8,000, but the modern used market will aggressively ask you for $1,500 to $4,000 depending on condition. The Goldwing is a gentle giant, but what happens when engineers want to terrify the rider? Our next motorcycle took a touring V4 engine, bolted on a massive boost system, and created a straight-line drag racer that requires thick steel to keep from tearing itself apart. Number 9. The Yamaha V-Max 1200. In 1985, Yamaha unleashed an absolute monster onto the streets. The Yamaha V-Max was not designed to carve corners or handle with grace. It was designed to obliterate rear tires, dominate drag strips, and terrify anyone brave enough to twist the throttle fully open. To ensure the motorcycle did not physically tear itself apart under its own immense power, Yamaha had to aggressively overbuild every single component of the drivetrain. To handle the violent surge of its 145 horsepower, Yamaha engineered an incredibly thick lower engine block, a massive heavy-duty multiplate clutch, and a huge enclosed shaft drive. Drag racers have spent decades bolting nitrous oxide systems to stock V-Max engines, and the blocks simply refuse to split. High-mileage survivors are incredibly common because the internal components are built like bank vaults. Modern muscle bikes achieve their performance figures by heavily relying on advanced electronic traction control, wheelie control, and sophisticated fuel mapping to actively restrict engine torque and save the drivetrain from snapping. The 80s V-Max uses absolutely zero electronic babysitters. It relies entirely on thick, heavy steel, massive bearings, and brutal mechanical strength to handle the immense torque. It is a terrifying, beautiful reminder of an era when engineers solved massive power problems with massive amounts of metal. The Yamaha V-Max 1200 launched with an incredibly reasonable price of $5,300, and you can still snag one today for $3,000 to $6,000. The V-Max rules the asphalt drag strip. But what if you want to conquer the Sahara Desert? Our next motorcycle single-handedly invented the modern adventure segment by sticking massive cylinders directly into the rushing wind. Number 8. The BMW R80GS. This motorcycle is powered by a 797cc air-cooled boxer twin engine. By protruding the 2 massive cylinders horizontally out into the rushing wind, BMW achieved perfect, symmetrical air cooling. The engine relies on an incredibly simple push-rod overhead valve design. The durability reputation of the airhead boxer is globally recognized. This exact motorcycle platform dominated the grueling Paris-Dakar rally. Expedition riders have meticulously documented accumulating over 400,000 miles on these exact engine blocks while crossing remote South American and African landscapes. The maintenance simplicity of the R80GS is unparalleled in the modern world. Because the cylinder heads stick completely out from the sides of the motorcycle, a rider can pull off the side of a dirt trail, remove the valve covers with a basic wrench, and perform a complete valve clearance adjustment in 10 minutes using nothing but a feeler gauge. If a modern BMW R1200 GS suffers a catastrophic failure deep in the woods, you need a proprietary diagnostic laptop and a flatbed tow truck to recover it. The 80s GS requires nothing more than a basic tool roll, a keen mechanical ear, and the willingness to turn a wrench. It is the ultimate expression of mechanical self-reliance. Buying the BMW R80 GS fresh off the showroom floor originally cost $4,000, but as a highly coveted collector's item, it is currently valued between $8,000 and $15,000. The Airhead Boxer requires you to adjust your own valves, but what if you want a motorcycle that literally tunes itself? Our next entry features a lost mechanical secret inside the cylinder head that guarantees you will never have to pay a mechanic for valve maintenance ever again. Number 7, the Honda Nighthawk CB700SC. If there is one motorcycle from the 80s that completely embodied the philosophy of zero maintenance ownership, it is the 1984 Honda Nighthawk CB700SC. Honda engineers were specifically tasked with creating a highly capable, sporty standard motorcycle that the owner essentially never had to wrench on. They succeeded by implementing deeply complex engineering solutions at the factory to ensure absolute simplicity in the owner's garage. The engine is a 696cc air-cooled inline-4. However, the engineering magic lies deep within the cylinder head. Honda utilized hydraulic valve lash adjusters. In almost every other high-revving motorcycle engine in the world, the metal valves slowly wear into the cylinder head, requiring the owner to perform tedious, expensive valve clearance adjustments every 15,000 miles. The hydraulic lifters in the Nighthawk automatically pump themselves full of engine oil to perfectly take up the clearance slack continuously. The result is a motorcycle that requires literally nothing but fresh oil and new tires. You can easily find these Nighthawks with 100,000 miles on the odometer, running exactly as quietly and smoothly as the day they rolled off the showroom floor. Modern motorcycle manufacturers absolutely refuse to use hydraulic valve lifters in high-revving engines today because they add extra weight to the top end of the engine and restrict maximum redline RPM. They happily force the modern consumer to pay a dealership $1,000 for routine valve maintenance. The original retail tag for the Honda Nighthawk CB700SC was $3,400, while vintage riders currently pay anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000. The Nighthawk is the ultimate low-maintenance cruiser, but what if you feel the need for speed? Our next machine was the first to shatter the 150 miles per hour barrier, forcing engineers to build a liquid-cooled fortress of an engine that starred in Hollywood's biggest blockbuster. Number 6, the Kawasaki GPZ900R. This bike famously starred alongside Tom Cruise in the movie Top Gun. To achieve this blistering, unprecedented speed, Kawasaki had to engineer an entirely new engine platform that was inherently overbuilt to survive its own violent power. It was the world's first 16-valve, liquid-cooled inline 4-cylinder motorcycle engine, displacing 908cc. Because Kawasaki was charting entirely unknown territory regarding liquid-cooled high horsepower, they took zero chances with the internal metallurgy. They designed the bottom end of the engine with incredibly massive main bearing journals and exceptionally thick engine cases. They utilized wet cylinder liners that efficiently transferred intense combustion heat directly into the coolant. The sheer mechanical toughness of this bottom end is proven by the fact that Kawasaki continued to use this exact engine architecture, gradually expanding it all the way up to 1,200 cubic centimeters in the ZRX models decades later, without significantly altering the lower block. Modern high-performance sport bikes achieve incredible speeds, but their engines are highly stressed, delicately balanced grenades. The modern pursuit of ultra-lightweight components means that a single missed shift or a slight overheating event can warp a cylinder head instantly. The GPZ900R was built during an era when the only way to safely handle 115 horsepower was to cage it inside an incredibly thick, brutally heavy steel and aluminum fortress. With an original factory price of roughly $4,400, the cinematic Kawasaki GPZ900R Ninja commands $4,000 to $8,000 on the modern used market. Which of these incredibly unkillable vintage machines is parked inside your garage right now? Let us know your specific model and your highest odometer mileage reading in the comments section below. Number 5. The Suzuki GS850G. The Suzuki GS series of the late 70s and early 80s heavily cemented Suzuki's reputation for building bulletproof four-cylinder engines. But the GS850G, introduced specifically as a heavy-duty touring standard, took that robust engine architecture and heavily optimized it for long-distance, loaded travel. It is a motorcycle completely devoid of sporting pretensions, focusing entirely on unyielding, relentless momentum. The core of this heavy machine is an 843cc air-cooled inline four-cylinder engine. The specific reason this engine is so universally admired by veteran mechanics is its heavily overbuilt roller-bearing crankshaft. Modern inline four-cylinder engines utilize plain bearings, simple metal shells that rely entirely on highly pressurized oil film to prevent the spinning crankshaft from physically grinding against the engine block. Because of this industrial-grade bottom end, the GS850G is virtually impossible to destroy through normal wear and tear. When paired with its incredibly heavy-duty shaft drive system and massive, thick steel frame, the motorcycle acts more like a diesel truck than a nimble motorcycle. High mileage examples easily clear 150,000 miles. Originally retailing for roughly $3,500, you can easily find the shaft-driven Suzuki GS850G on the used market for between $1,500 and $3,000. The GS850 is a heavy-duty anvil, but what if you want to race across the African dunes? Our next machine was engineered specifically by a legendary racing corporation to dominate the Paris-Dakar Rally, featuring an armored V-twin engine that scoffs at extreme heat. Number 4. The Honda Africa Twin XR650. Long before the adventure motorcycle market became a crowded lifestyle segment filled with heavy electronic behemoths, Honda built a pure, highly focused desert weapon. The 1988 Honda Africa Twin XR650 was not designed by a marketing committee. It was heavily engineered by HRC, the Honda Racing Corporation, specifically to homologate their dominant Paris-Dakar rally racing machines. It is one of the most rugged, purposefully overbuilt motorcycles ever released to the general public. The heart of the desert racer is a 647cc liquid-cooled V-twin engine. Honda knew that a motorcycle designed to blast through the Sahara Desert at high speeds for weeks on end had to be completely immune to heat, vibration, and dust. They heavily armored the engine block, utilized incredibly robust dual carburetors, and protected the entire lower assembly with a massive, thick aluminum skid plate. The frame is deeply reinforced at the steering head to withstand the violent impact of hitting hidden sand dunes. The longevity and survivability of the original Africa Twin are legendary across Europe, where these bikes are highly coveted and regularly command premium prices, despite having well over 100,000 miles on the chassis. The stark contrast between the original 80s Africa Twin and the modern iteration perfectly highlights the shift in design philosophy. The modern Africa Twin features an incredibly complex dual-clutch automatic transmission, massive touchscreens, and sophisticated lean-angle sensors. While highly capable, it requires a dealership diagnostic tool if it glitches. The original XR650 features a pure, deeply mechanical throttle connection, an analog tachometer, and an electrical system so robust that it can survive total submersion in a river crossing and immediately fire back UP. It is a machine built for absolute survival. While the original European sticker price of the Honda Africa Twin XR650 sat at $5,000, expect to pay a premium of $7,000 to $12,000 today for this imported rally legend. The Africa Twin is a desert weapon, but what if you need a narrow, agile, shaft-driven commuter for the dense city? Our next motorcycle rearranged its entire engine layout just to protect its alternator in a crash, creating an incredibly bulletproof daily rider. Number 3. The Yamaha XJ900 Seca. While the Yamaha FJ series dominated the heavy sport touring market, Yamaha quietly produced a slightly smaller, more agile, and incredibly bulletproof shaft-driven machine called the XJ900 Seca. Produced in the early to mid-80s, this motorcycle is widely considered by vintage mechanics to be one of the most perfectly balanced, heavily over-engineered daily riders ever produced by a Japanese manufacturer. The powertrain consists of an 853cc air-cooled inline four-cylinder engine. What makes this engine so incredibly robust is its extremely narrow profile. Yamaha achieved this by relocating the alternator completely behind the cylinder block instead of mounting it on the end of the crankshaft. This protected the vital electrical components in the event of a crash and kept the engine deeply compact. They mated this incredibly reliable under-stressed engine to a heavy-duty shaft drive system to completely eliminate drive chain maintenance. European motorcycle couriers rapidly discovered that the XJ900 could effortlessly absorb 100,000 miles of brutal stop-and-go, city traffic and high-speed motorway, blast with nothing more than routine oil changes. Modern manufacturers constantly prioritize aggressive weight savings over long-term durability. They shave the aluminum engine cases incredibly thin and use lightweight, fragile subframes. The Yamaha Seca utilizes thick, heavy cast aluminum cases and a deeply reinforced tubular steel frame. It is undeniably heavy by modern standards, but that dense mass translates directly into a motorcycle that simply refuses to shake itself apart or crack under prolonged mechanical stress. The Yamaha XJ900 Seca demanded roughly $4,000 brand new, but current secondary market values range heavily between $1,500 and $3,500. We have covered massive touring bikes and screaming sport bikes, but our final two motorcycles utilize an engine layout that relies on massive, singular explosive forces. Our number 2 pick is quite literally the largest single-cylinder engine of its era, built exactly like a piece of earth-moving equipment. Number 2, the Suzuki DR750 Big. In 1988, Suzuki decided to enter the brutal Paris-Dakar rally racing scene, but instead of using a complex twin-cylinder engine like Honda or BMW, they decided to just build an absolutely massive, impossibly large single-cylinder engine. The result was the Suzuki DR750 Big. It was a motorcycle so radically overbuilt and comically aggressive that it pioneered the beak front fender styling that virtually every single modern adventure bike heavily copies today. The engineering sheer audacity of this machine lies in its 727cc air and oil-cooled single-cylinder engine. Having a piston the size of a paint can rapidly flying up and down inside an engine block creates violent, frame-cracking vibrations. To ensure the motorcycle did not physically shake itself into pieces, Suzuki heavily overbuilt the engine block to accommodate two massive, chain-driven counterbalancer shafts. These heavy shafts perfectly cancel out the violent vibrations of the massive piston. The engine breathes through twin carburetors to feed the huge cylinder. Modern single-cylinder engines, like those found in highly stressed KTM enduro bikes, are designed to rev incredibly fast and produce massive horsepower, but they require strict, expensive internal rebuilds measured in operating hours, not miles. The Suzuki DR Big uses sheer mass, twin counterbalancers, and a heavily over-engineered oil cooling system to survive. It is a slow-revving, highly rhythmic thumper that will happily cross a continent on low-octane fuel while carrying a heavy rider and full steel luggage. Back in the late 80s, the Suzuki DR750 Big carried an MSRP of roughly $4,500, whereas used examples now effortlessly command $5,000 to $9,000. The Suzuki Big is a comically massive thumper, but there is one dirt bike that reigns supreme over all others. Our number 1 machine is entirely devoid of luxury, completely reliant on a brutal kickstart, and utilizes an engine architecture that fundamentally defies mechanical destruction. Number 1, the Honda XR600R. We conclude our list with a motorcycle that is universally revered as the absolute, undisputed king of unkillable dirt machines. The Honda XR600R, introduced in 1985, dominated the grueling Baja 1000 off-road race for years. It is a motorcycle completely devoid of luxury, entirely reliant on the physical strength of the rider to kickstart it, and built with an engine architecture that fundamentally defies mechanical destruction. The core of this legendary dirt bike is a 591cc air-cooled single-cylinder engine. The specific reason this engine is virtually immortal is Honda's heavily overbuilt radial 4-valve combustion chamber, strictly known as the RFVC. By arranging the 4 valves radially inside the massive hemispherical combustion chamber, Honda achieved incredible airflow and efficient burning while allowing for massive, thick metal heat sinks around the exhaust ports. Because it relies entirely on the rushing wind to cool the massive cylinder, there are absolutely no fragile radiators to crush in a crash and no water pumps to fail deep in the woods. The longevity examples of the XR600R are an absolute staple of off-road mythology. The maintenance simplicity is the definition of rugged independence. It does not have a heavy battery to die. It does not have an electric starter motor to burn out. It requires a heavy practice kick to the starting lever, and it relies on a simple carburetor and a basic starter to run the ignition. Modern enduro and motocross bikes are incredibly lightweight, highly strung weapons that demand frequent, highly expensive piston replacements, titanium valve adjustments, and constant computer mapping updates. The Honda XR600R is a heavy, steel-framed, air-cooled anvil. It goes years, sometimes entire decades, on the exact same internal piston and rings. It represents the absolute pinnacle of an era when engineers built machines to heavily outlast the people riding them. Honda originally asked $3,000 for the unkillable XR600R, yet off-road enthusiasts will comfortably pay $2,500 to $4,500 for a running Survivor right now. Click on the next video to continue the ride. Join our tribe by subscribing and like this video.